Hello there, welcome back to my channel. It's your everydayness Abby. So we are still continuing with our discussion. So far we are done with depression. That was the previous discussion we engaged in. So we learned about what depression is, the difference between sadness and depression, and we also got to know about the treatment and how we can prevent relapse when we are diagnosed of depression. So, still on the mental conditions or mental illnesses, today we are going to talk about schizophrenia. That is, we are starting a new series on schizophrenia. Schizophrenia affects a lot of people worldwide and also in Ghana. So, we want to know more about it and how we can take good care of ourselves to prevent it. And if in case we are diagnosed of schizophrenia, how we can manage ourselves. I keep saying knowledge is definitely power. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like and also share. So now let's get into our topic for today. So we are going to talk about schizophrenia. And like I said earlier, schizophrenia is a mental condition or a mental illness. So schizophrenia simply means splitted mind. Splitted mind, a mind that is splitted apart. So schizophrenia mostly affects the frontal lobe, as in when we are talking about the brain, the part of the brain that schizophrenia affects. So it affects the frontal cortex, it affects the temporal lobe and the limbic system of the brain. So now let's get to know what these parts are responsible for and the things that it affects in the brain and in behavior. So the frontal lobe is responsible for higher cognitive functioning. So the frontal cortex is responsible for higher cognitive functioning. This includes our memory, our emotions, our problem solving abilities, our social interaction, etc. So that is what the frontal cortex works on. And then when it comes to the temporal lobe, the temporal lobe is responsible for processing auditory or hearing functioning, help us to hear. And it also helps with our language, that is our written and spoken language, or in general we can say it helps with our speech. The temporal lobe helps with our speech and certain aspects of our visual perception. Visual perception is our seeing, how we see things. Yes, so that is what the temporal lobe does. The last thing is the limbic system, and the limbic system is considered as the center for strong emotions. So that is where our emotions, our irritability, our happiness, sadness, everything, that is the strong center for emotions. And it also helps with our short term memory. So I just wanted us to know a little about these brain parts where schizophrenia affects and the functions that it affects. Because by knowing those parts of the brain, that you know that okay, when I have schizophrenia, it will affect my speech, it will affect my emotions, it will affect certain behavior and then cognitive functioning. So that is what it's helping us with. So according to WHO, schizophrenia affects about 24 million people worldwide. Yes, when we take the whole world, it affects about 24 million people. And when we come to Ghana, schizophrenia affects about zero point 0.2 people in Ghana. So when you take the entire population, 0.2%, 0.2% are people suffering with schizophrenia, and that is a huge number, even though the percentage is seems to be very little. So now let's get into the real deal for today. So now what is schizophrenia? What is schizophrenia? We know simply it means splitted mind, but what is schizophrenia? So schizophrenia is a group of mental disorders that impairs a person's reality, and it's characterized by both positive and negative symptoms. It's also characterized by disorganized speech and behavior, and it persists for a period of at least 6 months. So it is after 6 months when the symptoms persist that you would be diagnosed of having schizophrenia. and it tends to interfere with your social, academic, and occupational life. So it prevents you from doing a lot of things. So what are these positive and negative symptoms? So let's take the positive symptoms. So the positive symptoms includes hallucinations and delusions. So what is hallucination? So hallucination is a false perception of our senses in the absence of an external stimuli. So hallucination is has to do with our perceptions. That is our senses, our sense of hearing, our sense of touch, seeing, our sense of taste. So this is the aspect of our perceptions that it affects. So the person will begin hearing stuff, the person will begin seeing stuff that are not there, the person will begin feeling things on the body that are not there. So in the absence of an external stimuli, but the person yes still sees those things or hears things that are not seen or heard by anybody. So that has to do with the hallucinations. The next thing is delusions. And delusions, these are false beliefs of something that is not true. So the person has an idea or a belief about something that is not there, or something, the thing may be there, but it is not true. It is not true, it's false. Something that nobody believes to be true. Example, the person will say, I am the president of Ghana, but we all know that that person is not the president of Ghana. Or the person will say that, oh, Donald Trump is my husband, or Donald Trump is my lover, but we all know that that is not true. So they begin to have this false belief that is not true. They can even say, I do not have a head, or I do not have a stomach, or I cannot eat because the food when I swallow, I do not have a throat, or like they have those kind of false belief, which is untrue. The next thing to talk about is the negative symptoms. Negative symptoms. So they put up with negative symptoms such as social withdrawal. They tend to withdraw themselves from people. They tend to lose interest in the world. They feel detached from the world. It's as if they are not in Ghana. There is a different reality that is created for them. They also have inability to take initiative, inability, or they do not have that motivation to do something, or that initiative to do something. So all those things are lost, and some of these are the negative symptoms that the person experiences. We also have disorganized speech, problem with speech. The person will tend to coin new words that do not exist. They will coin them. So they will be like, I'm going to the park to play walla boots, and we know that there is nothing like walla boots. They can even say, I'm going to eat chichaba, and you know that there is nothing like chichaba. So they begin to coin words that only them understand. And sometimes too, they tend to use they tend to repeat their words like, how are you? I'm fine. Are you going to school? I'm fine. What is your name? I'm fine. Everything to them is I'm fine. So they tend to be disorganized speech. And then there is disorganized behavior. The person will just be there and will start giggling. The person will just be laughing on top of his voice. You can give the person a gift, and the person will just start crying and wailing as if he or she has lost a loved one. There could be an accident, and the person will just laugh when everybody is crying. So there are also disorganized behaviors. So this is the little we'll talk about. There is so much to this topic. I'm so excited that we are learning about it, and then we would have more knowledge about it and be able to pinpoint it when someone is going through that experience, or when we ourselves we are going through that, so that we can seek for early treatment. So join me in the next video, even as we talk more about these characteristics. You would be amazed. Thank you. It's your everyday nurse Abby. Meet you in the next video.